Semiotic significance of the Muqaṭṭa'āt. Any cursory investigation into the acrophonic origins of the Arabic abjad would reveal that it has much in common with the Hebrew abjad. Farahi is of the opinion that the letters of this parent abjad did not just represent phonetic sounds, but also symbolized the shape of certain concrete objects from which the script was ultimately elaborated. For instance, in support of his opinion, he presents the letter Nun, N, which symbolizes fish, and Surah Nun mentions Prophet Jonah as companion of the fish. Similarly, the letter Ta, or Tu'e, T, represents a serpent, and all the surahs that begin with this letter mention the story of Prophet Moses and serpents. Surat al-Baqarah, which begins with the letter Alif, is another example. It has been indicated before that the letter Alif was analogous with the cow and represented a cow's head. Surat al-Baqarah contains an anecdote about a cow and its sacrifice. Recently, Dr. Raymond has analyzed that these letters have thematic, phonetic and stylistic links to specific chapters in the Quran itself. To access Dr. Ahsan's full thesis entitled Morphophonemic Patterns in the Prefixed Chapters of the Holy Quran, a stylistic approach, click here. More orthographic research is needed to substantiate this theory across the other chapters prefixed by Muqaṭṭa'āt and to elaborate the meanings of the other letters employed. Introduction. The study of texts, both religious and secular, with a view to understanding their full meaning, has engaged linguists from the earliest known civilizations to the present day, 12. Tanakh scholars developed a numerological code for the letters of the Hebrew alphabet as a means to uncover what they posited to be divinely inspired enigmas hidden within the pages of their holy texts. 3. Modern-day academicians and even authors of fiction 4 have also found the concept of an esoteric meaning other than the literal one intriguing. Within the discipline of Islamology, an entire branch of study has been devoted to the exegesis of the primary Islamic text, the Quran. Tafsir, or literal exegesis and commentary, is perhaps the oldest and most elaborate of the Islamic sciences 5. It was developed and continues to evolve in the context of Muslim requirements for a comprehensive companion to their holy book, a guide that elucidates and provides background commentary on the text and its revelation. 67. Nonetheless, Allah states clearly in the text that the Quran is a book whereof the verses are explained in detail, a Quran in Arabic for people who know. Surat al-Fussilat 41:3-8. The Quran is referred to as a clear proof. 6. 157:9, a manifest light. 4. 174. 42, 52, 10, and it has been fully explained to mankind. 17, 89, 1854, 39, 27, 11. Readers are also encouraged to think deeply. 47, 24, 12, about the text. In this particular verse, the Arabic verb dibar is used. It means to consider, reflect or meditate upon. 13. In other words, although Allah has stated categorically that the Quran is a comprehensively revealed, unambiguous text, readers are encouraged to reflect on it. Hence, the divinely inspired legitimacy of making a commentary on the text itself. This brings us to the subject of al-huruf al-muqaṭṭa'ah, la wf lem tw, or the disconnected letters in the Holy Quran. They provide perhaps one of the most enduring, intriguing and tantalizing mysteries surrounding the revelation itself. As the exegetes have tried to expound on the holy verses and give them a context to aid a fuller understanding of the afflatus as a whole, they have encountered various mysterious letters that prefix 29 of the text's 114 chapters. These Muqaṭṭa'āt, as they shall be referred to from here on, which are also known as Fawati, as Surah, as Surah 1415, meaning the openings of the chapters, consist of 14 different letters that occur singly or in combinations of 2, 3, 4 or 5 letters to form 14 different arrangements. 4 separate combinations, LM, LR, TSEM, occur more than once and, with the exception of TSEM, prefix several consecutive chapters to form groups. The letters are always found at the beginning of the chapter as either a separate verse or forming the opening to the very first verse. An exception is the combination Hm-Esker, which occurs at the beginning of chapter 42. This combination is actually two separate arrangements, with the first two letters, Km, composing verse 1, and the second group, SQ, verse 2, although it has been noted that the letters follow a strict order in terms of their co-occurrence 16, the suggestion that this is somehow related to the abjad or numerological order of the Arabic letters is without foundation. The Abjadi or Levantine order, which is still used today for listing purposes in Arabic documents, was the original order for the Arabic letters at the time of the Quranic Revelation 17. The Arabs employed this particular arrangement, and not the modern one, as it mirrored the organization of the Nabatean Abjad, the precursor to Arabic Abjad. In 310-920 seconds, Ibn Muqaṭṭa'āt 272 885ths, 328 940ths, invented the Naskh script, which displaced all other scripts from the scene. His serial ordering of the Abjad, the Hajai order, replaced the previous one. His arrangement, also known as the Abtath, placed letters with similar graphemes together. The name derives from TTTB, the first four letters of the new serial order 18. However, the exploitation of the Abjad for numerical purposes and the elaboration of chronograms based on the verses of the Quran did not occur until the Buwayhid period 19. Therefore, not only does the co-occurrence of the Muqaṭṭa'āt violate the Abjadi sequence, but the Arabs did not recognize any numerological significance in their serialization. Another proposal, which has gained credence, is that the 14 letters that compose the Muqaṭṭa'āt represent a definitive list of the Arabic graphemes at the time of the Quranic Revelation 2021. This theory presupposes that the diacritical marks employed to distinguish letters like K, H, J were not in common usage at the time of Revelation, and draws on the evidence of Quranic manuscripts dating from the 1st century AH 22, which are devoid of these same diacritical marks. This theory, however, can be at best only speculation given recent research and the evidence of the earliest known post-Revelation manuscript, known as Perf 558, which features these very same diacritical marks 23. In the absence of a complete collection of Uthmanic codices, or indeed any authentic commentary on Arabic orthography dating from the period of Revelation, this proposition is seriously flawed. With the exception of the letters that prefix chapters 2, 3 and 13, all of the letters head chapters that were revealed in Mecca 24-25. Moreover, in all but 3 cases, chapters 29, 30 and 68, the Muqaṭṭa'āt precede an explicit reference to the Quranic revelation. Furthermore, with regards to the actual recitation of the Quran, the art of tajweed, or lengthening of the letters of individual words, recommends not only that these letters should be pronounced separately, but also that they should be considerably lengthened in recital. This is similar in principle to the art of cantillation applied to the recital of the Torah 26. Whilst contemporary scholars have proffered a number of theories regarding the significance of the Muqaṭṭa'āt, their co-occurrence and placement, traditional Muslim scholarship has also tried to account for their meaning. Theory 1. Allah alone knows their meaning. The first theory is not really a theory, but rather the accepted position of Muslim commentators. In the absence of any clear and authentic explanation of these letters, either in the Quran itself or in the collected traditions of the Prophet Muhammad, scholars, whilst availing themselves of proposing theories about the Muqaṭṭa'āt, have always attributed ultimate knowledge of their meanings to Allah 27:28. They draw this conclusion based on the numerous mentions or allusions in the Quranic text made to knowledge of the unseen or al-ghaib. See, for example, 16, 77, 27, 75, which Allah states lies with Him alone. Another very important injunction in the Holy Book, which commentators have used to justify their position, originates from the early verses in chapter 3, 4, 8. Here, Allah distinguishes between the entirely clear verses of the book, muhkamat, and others, which are left deliberately ambiguous, mutashabihat. Allah makes it clear that none know the Quran's hidden meanings save Him alone, and that anyone seeking a cryptic significance to the verses, ta'wil, is a deviator from the truth. Scholars of the Quran have classified the Muqaṭṭa'āt as being part of these Mutashabihat 29. Hence, the reluctance amongst commentators to ascribe any particular meaning to them. Of all the explanations given by various intellectuals, the one, which is most widely supported, is outlined in Tafsir Ibn Kathir 30. The human body is composed of various fundamental elements that are found in nature. Clay and dust are composed of the same fundamental elements, yet it would be absurd to say that a human being is exactly the same as the dust. We can all have access to the elements that are found in the human body. If we add a few gallons of water, this provides us with the body's constitution. We know the elements in the human body, and yet we are at a loss when asked to characterize the secret of life. Similarly, the Quran addresses those people who reject its divine authority. It tells them that the Quran is in their own language, a language in which the Arabs took great pride. It is composed of the same letters that the Arabs used to express themselves so eloquently. Arabic was at its peak when the Quran was revealed. With the Muqaṭṭa'āt, the Quran challenges mankind to produce a surah in any way comparable to it in beauty and elegance if they doubt its authenticity. Initially, the Quran challenges all of mankind to produce a work of literature like the Quran, and adds that they would not be able to do so even if they supported each other. 1788, 52, 34. Later, the Quran repeats the challenge in Surah Hud, 11:13, by challenging mankind to produce 10 chapters like it, and in Surah Yunus, 10:38, to produce one surah like it. Finally, the least demanding challenge is given in Surah Al-Baqarah. And if you are in doubt as to what we have revealed from time to time to our servant, then produce a surah like thereunto, and call your witnesses or helpers, if there are any, besides Allah, if your doubts are true. But if you cannot, and of a surety you cannot, then fear the fire whose fuel is men and stones, which is prepared for those who reject faith. 223:24. To compare the skill of two artisans, they must be given samples of the same raw material, and their performance evaluated in completing the same task. If they are tailors, they must be provided with the same fabrics. The raw materials of the Arabic language are the letters of the Muqaṭṭa'āt. The miraculous nature of the language of the Quran does not lie only in the fact that it is God's word, but also in the fact that despite being composed of the same letters in which the pagan Arabs took pride, its metrics and versification are unrivaled. The Arabs were noted for their rhetorical ability, eloquence, and meaningful expression. Just as the constituents of the human body are known to us and can be obtained by us, the letters comprising the Quran, such as Alif Lam Mim, are known to us and used frequently to formulate words. Life cannot be created by us, even if we possess knowledge of the constituents of the human body. Similarly, we cannot capture the same eloquence and exquisiteness of expression that we find in the Quran, despite knowing the letters that constitute it. The Quran thus proves its divine origin. Theory 2. Mystical signs with a symbolic meaning. The unanswered question of the significance of the Muqaṭṭa'āt, in spite of the unambiguous prohibition of mystical interpretation in the Quran, has provided Sufis, and Baha'is in particular, with both devotional material and evidence of the mystical nature of the Holy Book, 3132. Sufis, whose worship involves intense devotional rituals, have meditated on the meaning of the Muqaṭṭa'āt and interpreted their significance and prime position, prefixing the 29 chapters 33. The meanings they assign to them differ from tariqa to tariqa, Sufi chapter or movement, but their essential import remains the same. The Muqaṭṭa'āt are attributes of the divine. They prefix the various chapters as both a demonstration to the prophet of their authentic origin during the revelation and as a message to all who hear them concerning his qualities. Sufis see them as an adjunct to the well-documented 99 Asma al-Husna, glorious names, found throughout the Quran, and a further manifestation of Allah's virtues, 34. Numerous Sufi clerics and adherents have advanced theories as to the meaning of the disconnected letters. Many suggest that by expounding on their hidden meaning, one can attain a closer relationship with God 35. One such interpretation, advanced by Sheikh Abd al-Qadir Jilani of the Naqshbandiya 36, employing the letters in an invocation together with their posited meanings, is given below. O Allah, bestow blessings, peace and honor, and give nobility, power and greatness, and have mercy on the one who is lofty in power and towering in grandeur, and is the high aspiring light and the clear truth. The letter Alif is for might and power, Ha is for the realm of mercy, Mim is for sovereignty, Lam is for hidden kindness, Ra is for hidden compassion, Nun is for perfect benevolence, Ain is for care and concern, Kaf is for sufficiency, Ya is for headship and becoming master, Sin is for happiness, Kaf is for nearness, Ta is for the sultanate, Ha is for the tie or bond of friendship, and Sad is for preservation. This appears to be an arbitrary allocation of attributions to the various letters rather than the establishment of concrete meanings, based on the first letter of the attribute in Arabic, for example. Wa'ainil inaya wa kafil kifaya wa'u in lanifbu kifaya. As for the Baha'is, they too attach a mystical significance to these letters, drawing on the teachings of the central figures in their religion, Baha'u'llah and the Bab 37. Baha'u'llah wrote a commentary on the Muqaṭṭa'āt in response to a request from one of his adherents, Mirza Akai Rikab Saz. This commentary became known as the Lawh-i-Nur, Tablet of the Verse of Light, 38 in Persian, and has remained the subject of serious scholarship amongst Baha'is to this day. In it, Baha'u'llah comments on the creation of the letters themselves, something of a departure from traditional scholarship. He then proceeds to relate their formation to the so-called Verse of Light, 24:35, in the Qur'an, before offering an explanation of their meanings. His central preoccupation, and that to which he ascribes the most important role, is with the letter Alif. Baha'u'llah, in his Kitab-i-Ikan 39, writes, "In the beginning of his book he saith, Alif, Lam, Mim. No doubt is there about this book. It is guidance unto the God-fearing, Quran 2:1. In the disconnected letters of the Quran, the mysteries of the divine essence are enshrined, and within their shells, the pearls of his unity are treasured. For lack of space, we do not dwell upon them at this moment. Outwardly, they signify Prophet Muhammad himself, whom God addressed, saying, O Prophet Muhammad, there is neither doubt nor uncertainty about this book which hath been sent down from the heaven of divine unity. In it is guidance unto them that fear God. Consider how he hath appointed and decreed this self-same book, the Qur'an, as guidance unto all that are in heaven and on earth. He, the divine being and unknowable essence, hath himself testified that this book is, beyond all doubt and uncertainty, the guide of all mankind until the day of resurrection." For Baha'u'llah, the Alif, being a single vertical stroke, forms the basis for all the other letters and hence represents Allah. The other Muqaṭṭa'āt are not so much qualities of the divine himself, but outward manifestations of his guidance and trusteeship on the temporal plane. The other Muqaṭṭa'āt sometimes represent his prophets and sometimes represent other facets of his worldly manifestations. A constant metaphor employed by Baha'u'llah throughout his writing is that of the primordial pen 40. He uses it to encapsulate all aspects of Allah's creation. According to Baha'u'llah, it is this pen that through God's will orchestrates all that is creation. By means of this metaphor, Baha'u'llah theorizes that all of creation testifies to its conception through its own reality, that this is their purpose for being. Therefore, the Muqaṭṭa'āt are but further examples of God's omniety placed in the Holy Quran to bear witness to his presence. See Quran 51:56. The Bab, who was the forerunner to the Baha'i faith, wrote a literary composition entitled Qayyum al-Asma, maintainer of the divine names, 41. In it, he includes a set of disconnected letters in the third verse of almost all of the 111 chapters. Some of these letters mirror the Muqaṭṭa'āt in the Qur'an, whilst others are composed of different combinations. What is clear is that the Bab, who claim to have received a revelation, is trying to mimic the style of the Qur'an, perhaps in order to engender support for his prophethood. Evidently, amongst Sufi orders and Baha'is, the Muqaṭṭa'āt form part of the authentic revelation. Their utilization in invocations and in literature has enshrined their mystic function. Any interpretation of their meanings has been largely arbitrary and has not sought to explain their relative positions, frequency, or co-occurrence. Theory 3. Mnemonic devices summarizing the contents of the chapters which they prefix. A number of scholars have tried to relate the occurrence of the Muqaṭṭa'āt to the contents or theme of the chapters which they prefix 42. This theory takes as inspiration the presence of groups of Muqaṭṭa'āt, which suggests some connection between chapters prefixed by the same letters. For there to be any support for this hypothesis, chapters that are prefixed by the same groups of letters, or by other groups containing the same letter, should be linked thematically. Al-Said at-Tabatabai mentions very briefly the significance of these letter symbols at the beginning of his exegesis of Surat Maryam, chapter 19, 43. Although a comprehensive discussion of the letter symbols appears in his exegesis of Surat Ash-Shura, chapter 42, 44. He says, "Those chapters of the Holy Qur'an that start with the Muqaṭṭa'āt have a correlative link to their context through these letters. In other words, those letter symbols that are common to different chapters tell us that there is a logical relation with the context of those chapters also." The proof of the above statement is the similarity that can be seen between Surat Maryam, chapter 19, and Surat Sa'd, chapter 38, in which both relate the story of the prophets. The same common theme can be seen linking Surat Ash-Shu'ara, chapter 26, and Naml, 27, Al-Qasas, 28, and Taha, 20, through the story of Moses and his encounter with the Pharaoh. Each of these chapters is prefixed by the letter Ta, among other letters. Let us now examine more scrupulously, for instance, two such chapters prefixed by the same letters. Surat Maryam and Surat Yasin are both prefixed by the letter Ya. The general theme of Surat Maryam is mentioned at the end of the chapter in verse 97-45. So we have made this, the Quran, easy in your own tongue, O Prophet Muhammad, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, only that you may give glad tidings to the pious and warn with it the most quarrelsome people. The overriding premise is one of admonishment and the conveyance of glad tidings. In the beginning of the chapter, the adventures of Ibrahim, Ishaq, Ya'qub, Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, the episode of Harun and Musa, Aaron and Moses, and the story of Ismail, Ishmael, and Idris, Enoch, are related together with their share of the blessed and ordained leadership that has been given to them. The chapter goes on to mention some examples of the mistakes of the people in the state of delusion, their oppression, and their unreasonable ideas, such as denying the resurrection of the body and the future life in the hereafter, accusing God of having a son, idol worship, etc. The punishment for this behavior is also mentioned. Surat Yasin replicates and links the theme of Surat Maryam in the same manner. The chapter begins by affirming the prophethood of Prophet Muhammad, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who came as a petitioner, and then recalls those who had belied the messengers and rejected God's message. It then goes on to recount the various signs of Allah before describing the events surrounding the day of resurrection. At this stage, the recompense for the pious and the miscreants is explained in some detail. Powerful arguments are presented to those who doubt and deny the event of resurrection before the chapter ends with a profound reminder that with Allah is the reality of the whole creation and everyone will eventually return to Him to account for their deeds. The letter that links both, the letter Ya, could represent al-Yaqeen, which signifies complete and unwavering faith, something of a common thread between the chapters. The letter symbols Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad, 19:1, 46 Yasin, 36:1, 47 Polytheism and Allah's decree. It beseems not Allah that He should take to Himself a son, glory be to Him. When He has decreed a matter, He only says to it, be, and it is. 1935, 48, and they have taken gods besides Allah that they may be helped, 36, 74, 49. His command when he intends anything is only to say to it be, and so it is. 36:82. 50. Serving Allah the right path. And surely Allah is my Lord and your Lord, therefore serve him. This is the right path. 1936. 51. And that you should serve me, this is the right way. 36:61. 52. Serving Satan, your enemy. O my father, serve not Satan. Surely Satan is disobedient to the beneficent Allah. 1944. 53. Did I not charge you, O children of Adam, that you should not serve Satan? Surely he is your open enemy. 36:60. 54. The return to Allah. Surely we inherit the earth and all those who are on it, and to us they shall be returned. 1940. 55. Therefore glory be to him in whose hand is the reality of all things, and to him you shall be brought back. 36:83. 56. The resurrection, and says man, what? When I am dead shall I truly be brought forth alive? Does not man remember that we created him before when he was nothing? 1966, 67, 57. And he strikes out a likeness for us and forgets his own creation. Says he, who will give life to the bones when they are rotten? Say, he will give life to them who brought them into existence at first, and he is cognizant of all creation. 36, 78, 79, 58, destruction of previous generations. And how many of the generations have we destroyed before them who were better in respect of goods and outward appearance? 19, 74, 59. And how many a generation have we destroyed before them? Do you see any one of them or hear a sound of them? 1998, 60. Do they not consider how many of the generations have we destroyed before them because they do not turn to them? 36, 31, 61. As far as other chapters prefixed by the same letters are concerned, particularly those such as the ALM, ALR and HM groups, more research is needed to extrapolate the common themes, as well as to allocate definite attributes to the Muqaṭṭa'āt in order to explain their precise arrangement across multiple chapters. The theory linking the letters and their immediate contexts is appealing and plausible and has certainly aroused the interest of numerous scholars. Theory 4. An example of the orthography of the early Arabic alphabet in the Qur'an. According to Welch 62, when viewed in the context of the earliest written versions of the Qur'an, the Muqaṭṭa'āt could have represented a complete record of the Arabic alphabet for readers. The Arabic alphabet consists of 18 distinct graphemes, B, J, R, S, S, T, F, Q, K, L, M, N, H, W, Y, when each letter is viewed in isolation. These 18 can further be reduced to 15 separate graphemes if we count the graphemes of B, N, Y and F respectively as homographs when written in the non-final position. In combination with diacritics or dots to distinguish between the various letters that are allographs, the Arabic script expresses a total of 28 phonemes. In the earliest versions of the Arabic script, and hence in the earliest written versions of the Quran 63, there were no diacritics to distinguish between graphemes which represented different sounds. Furthermore, the letters F, Q, W as well as D, D, H, K were allographs, in contrast to their representation in the modern Arabic script. This further reduction to 14 distinct graphemes, as represented by the Arabic script of the 7th century CE, provides a complete representation of the Arabic alphabet at that time, 64. The 14 letters which make up the Muqaṭṭa'āt, represented in the Quran, therefore provide a definitive version of the early Arabic script. Welch proposes that their placement at the beginning of 29 of the Quran's chapters, when coupled with the numerous references in the Quran, 6, 98, 41, 2, 12, 2 et al., to it being a guide for those who understand and to its revelation in clear Arabic, is evidence that the Muqaṭṭa'āt are there to demonstrate the clarity of the language, to function as a pronunciation guide, or for use as a pedagogical tool. 65. There are several inconsistencies in this theory, not the least of which is the fact that it does not explain the placement of the Muqaṭṭa'āt before these particular 29 chapters. Neither does it explain the order of the letters and their arrangement in each particular occurrence, both of which seem to contradict the established order of the Arabic alphabet's abjad, which was used at that time and continued to be the established order, until at least a century after the Prophet's death, 66, or for that matter, the revised order which is still in use today. Generally accepted theories of the evolution of the Arabic script 67, for a widely held view, see Hitti's History of the Arabs, hold that the dotting or diacritical marks were developed during Al-Hajjaj bin Yusuf's governorship of Iraq. In contrast, contemporary researchers such as Alan Jones have drawn different conclusions based on the earliest papyrus featuring the Arabic script, Perf 558-68. From this early epigraph, it is clear from the use of the diacritical marks within the text that the system of diacritics for distinguishing between allographs was available to the scribes charged with producing the first manuscripts of the Qur'an during the Uthmanic Caliphate. The fact that these diacritics are not found in the earliest extant copies is a moot point, given that any representation of the Arabic abjad within the pages of the Qur'an, the Muqaṭṭa'āt, would likely have used the diacritics to distinguish between the 14 graphemes and the 28 phonemes of the Arabic language. This should have been the case so as to provide a complete record of the Arabic phonemic range, if Welch's theory were correct. Furthermore, we know from anthropological and linguistic research into the pre-Islamic period, as well as from the name of the Qur'an itself, that the Arabs pursued an oral tradition. God's word, in keeping with the tradition of its oral revelation, was initially destined for recitation and memorization, as opposed to its eventual codification or inlibration in the written Qur'an 69. Theory 5. The numerological significance of the disconnected letters. One theory for God's establishment of these letters in the Qur'an holds that the letters themselves are part of a deliberate numerical structure underlying the text, revealed as an integral part of the revelation. According to the theorists, God has woven this code into the Qur'an not only for those with diligence and insight to discover, but as a further proof of the Qur'an's divine origins 70. An Egyptian scientist and computer expert named Dr. Rashad Khalifa entered the Qur'an into his computer in an attempt to search for any design that could account for the Muqaṭṭa'āt. The result of his extensive research was the discovery of an intricate mathematical system that pervades the whole Qur'an and governs every possible parameter, including these letters 71. The theory of the number 19 being the basis for this inherent mathematical structure to the Qur'an derives its origin from chapter 74, verses 30 and 31 of the Qur'an, 72, Alayha Tis'ara Ashara, 74:30, over it are 19, Wama ja'alna ashaba al-anwari ilwa malaikagan, Wama ja'alna idwatahum ilwa fitnayan, luwilwadhina kafaru liyastakina, luwadhina utu, lukitaba wayazdada, luwadhina amanu aymanan wala yataba, luwadhina utu, lukitaba walmu minuna waliyakula, luwadhina faykulubihim, mwaradan walkafiruna mada arada luwahu bihada mathalan kadhalika yudilu luwahu man yasha wa yahdiman yasha wama yalamu junuda rabbika ilwa huwa wama hiya ilwa dikra lilbashari 74:31. And we have set none but angels as guardians of the fire. And we have fixed their number only as a trial for unbelievers, in order that the people of the book may arrive at certainty, and the believers may increase in faith, and that no doubts may be left for the people of the book and the believers, and that those in whose hearts is a disease and the unbelievers may say, what symbol doth Allah intend by this? Thus doth Allah leave to stray whom He pleaseth, and guide whom He pleaseth. And none can know the forces of thy Lord except He. And this is no other than a warning to mankind. In verse 30, God proclaims that the number of angels guarding the gates of hell is 19. In the subsequent verse, 31, this number is established as a test to distinguish between believers and unbelievers. Proponents of the theory of the importance of this number hold that, with simple arithmetic, by adding the number of chapters prefaced by the letters, 29, to the number of letters, 14, then adding the sum of these two numbers to the number of combinations in which the letters occur, 14, a multiple of 19 is obtained, 29 plus 14 equals 57, x 19, 73. Further calculation of the number of occurrences of each letter in each chapter prefaced by the letters provides some startling evidence of the extent to which this number permeates the Arabic text. That said, Various anomalies in the elaboration of this number have surfaced if one attempts to continue the analysis of the entire Quran based on this figure. 74. Suffice to say that the theory does not provide any answer to the placement of the letters before these particular chapters, other than their usage as an arithmetical challenge. For theorists, the role of these particular chapters is immaterial, as their contents and remit do not appear to correspond to the numerical findings. Theory 6, the letters are vocatives, alluding to the Prophet. The use of vocatives to introduce important sections of the Quran is an established fact. Allah communicates with the Prophet, Bani Israel, the children of Israel, and those who believe, Yayuluddin Mandawi, inter alia 75 through the medium of the text by way of various stylistic and grammatical devices such as vocative particles, Ya Aiwuha Linwasu, Budu Rabwakumu, Lwadi Kalakakum Walwadina, Min Kablikum La Alwakum Tatwakuna. 221. O ye men, worship your Lord who created you and those who were before you, that you might guard against evil. Ya Ibadia, Lwadina, Amanu, Inwa Ardi Wasiabun Faiwaya Fabuduni. 2956. O my servants who believe, verily my earth is vast, so worship me alone. One proposed explanation for the Muqaṭṭa'āt, which would go some way to explaining their consistent placement at the outset of chapters, is that they are vocative formulas for attracting the attention of the Prophet or his audience. As Suyuti in his Itqan 76 mentions a number of alternative explanations for each formula, drawing the conclusion that each one refers in some way to the Prophet of Islam. For example, Taha is supposed to have meant "O man" in one of the early Arabic dialects of the Ak, and by analogy was used to attract the attention of Prophet Muhammad, Sil Pliz Lechli Wusilm. Yasin is also related as denoting "O man" in the dialect of the Thai, and according to Ibn Abbas, was used as a term of esteem or affection to refer to the Prophet. The thesis of the Muqaṭṭa'āt being vocatives is further supported by the fact that in every case, the text following them is couched in the second person singular, a rhetorical device that is not employed anywhere else in the Quran. Al-huwa ilwahu al-haywu l-kaywumu nazwala alayka l-kitaba bil-haqwi musadrikan lwima baina yadahi wanzala l-twara'a wal-injila 3:1-3 Alif Lam Mim. Allah is He besides whom there is none worthy of worship, the living, the self-subsisting and all-sustaining. He has sent down to thee the book containing the truth and fulfilling that which precedes it, and He has sent down the Torah and the Gospel before this as guidance to the people, and He has sent down the criterion. 77 Tisum, Tilka Ayatu l-Kitabi l-Mubini la alwaka baki nuafsaka, alwa yakunu mu'minina 26:1-3, Ta Sin Mim. These are verses of the book that makes things clear. Haply thou wilt grieve thyself to death because they believe not. 78. By substituting the Muqaṭṭa'āt in each case with the Arabic Wa Majmdud, we notice that the meaning of the accompanying text is not altered in any way. It would not be fanciful to suggest that, whilst the Muqaṭṭa'āt themselves changed form depending on the concomitant message being relayed, the essential import of them as forms of address or vocative devices remained the same. Special mention here must be made of Alan Jones's assertion that the letters were battle cries used by the Prophet of Islam in order to arouse the attention of the Arabs. He draws on traditions related by Ar-Razi, amongst others, that the Muqaṭṭa'āt ha-mimware employed to communicate the message of the Qur'an more effectively by way of rousing oaths in the vernacular known intimately by the Hijazi Arabs. 79. Whilst this is a plausible explanation for the manifestation and incidence of the Muqaṭṭa'āt, it does not account for the various combinations or provide an answer as to their occurrence in some cases across multiple successive chapters. Theory 7. The letters hold a semiotic significance. Hamiduddin Farahi, d. 1930 AD, elaborated an intriguing solution which might hold the key, at least to the significance of the Muqaṭṭa'āt 80. We shall briefly delineate his theory here. Any cursory investigation into the origins of the Arabic abjad would reveal that it has much in common with the Hebrew abjad, which itself has roots in the Syriac and Aramaic abjads. Farahi is of the opinion that the letters of this parent abjad did not just represent phonetic sounds, but also symbolized the shape of certain concrete objects from which the script was ultimately elaborated. He goes on to assert that this acrophonic origin of the letters was influenced by the Phoenicians, who had borrowed the concept for the elaboration of their own abjad from the early Egyptians, whose hieroglyphic system was primarily based around pictograms. The science which deciphered the meanings of these letters is now extinct. However, there are some letters whose meanings have persisted to this day, and the way they are written somewhat resembles their ancient forms. For example, it is known about the Arabic letter alif that it was first used to mean a cow and represented a cow's head. The letter bait in Hebrew means house. The Hebrew letter gimel meant camel. Ta stood for a snake and its shape resembles that of a serpent, and mim represents a water wave and has a similar form. Farahi presents Surat al-Qalam, also known as Surat Nun, in support of his theory. The letter Nun still denotes a fish. In this surah, the prophet Jonah has been addressed as Sahib al-Hut, or he who has been swallowed by a whale. Farahi opines that it is because of this reference that the surah is often referred to by the letter Nun, which appears disconnected at the beginning of the first verse. He goes on to theorize that if one considers the example given above, it is quite likely that the Muqaṭṭa'āt by which other chapters commence are placed, so as to symbolize a relation between the topics of a particular surah and their own ancient connotations. Some other names of the Quranic chapters reinforce Farahi's theory. Surat Taha, for example, begins with the letter Ta, which represents a serpent. After a brief introduction, the tale of Moses and his staff, which is transformed into a snake, is depicted. Chapters 26, 27 and 28, which are also prefixed by Muqaṭṭa'āt containing the letter Ta, portray this aforementioned miraculous episode. Surat al-Baqarah, which begins with the letter Alif, is another example that further buttresses Farahi's claims. It has been indicated before that the letter Alif was analogous with the cow and represented a cow's head. Surat al-Baqarah contains an anecdote about a cow and its sacrifice. More research is needed to substantiate this theory across the other chapters prefixed by Muqaṭṭa'āt and to elaborate the original pictographic meanings of the other letters employed. Nevertheless, given what we know about the origins of early orthography, such an explanation would not be beyond the realms of possibility. Theory 8. The letters are abbreviations. A wide variety of traditional Muslim scholars have concluded that the Muqaṭṭa'āt were principally abbreviations for God's qualities. Academics as diverse as Suyuti 81, at-Tabatabai 82, and at-Tabari have opined that the letters' mysteries are enshrined in their function as attributes of Allah. For instance, Ibn Kathir relates on the authority of Ibn Abbas and Ibn Mas'ud that the letters Am represent Ana Allahu Alam, Ana Alhu Almu, I, God, know full well. Allah represent Ana Allahu Ara, Anlahu Ara, I, God, can see. And Arms represent Ana Allahu Afsil, Anlahu Afsilu, I, God, can discern 83. Three modern hypotheses regard them as either abbreviations of invocations, chapter inscriptions, redactional ciphers, or names of the amanuenses themselves. Massi 84 has classified these theories into two categories, abbreviationist and redactional. One suggestion is that the letters were almost certainly abbreviations of well-known Quranic expressions. For example, that Almus stood for Sirat al-Mustaqim 85. Such proposals are completely arbitrary, as there is no established rationale for abbreviating such words before random chapters. The aim of an abbreviation should be to help clarify a text, not obfuscate the meaning and render it unintelligible, as would be the case with such a random attribution of catchwords. Another more plausible supposition assumes the Muqaṭṭa'āt, which are used as the titles of chapters, viz. YS, S, Q, TH, and N, which is an alternative heading for Surat al-Qalam, were employed because they represent memorable phrases or catchwords taken from the chapters they prefix 86. Based on this premise, the other Muqaṭṭa'āt would also represent abbreviations of important lexis within the Quranic Codex. Some possible solutions were suggested by Bauer. YS of Surah 36 could represent an abbreviation of Yas'ar, YS, he who runs, from verse 20. S of Surah 38 might be an abbreviation for As-Safinat of verse 31, LS Dalifant, the well-trained horses. Q of Surah 50 possibly refers to Karanuhu, Kreen, his companion, from verses 23 and 27. TH of Surah 20, he suggests, refers to two separate entities. The T is for Tuwa Talut of verse 12, the holy valley in which God appeared to Moses, and H is for Harun, Aaron, brother of Moses, who is mentioned in verses 30, 70, 90 and 92. N of Surah 68 is for Manun, demented, in verses 2 and 51. Despite these postulates being nothing more than conjecture, the catchwords are well chosen and play a significant role in the narrative of each chapter concerned. The problem lies with the other Muqaṭṭa'āt, which in some cases, as we have seen, span multiple chapters. As yet, no suitable catchwords have been elaborated to fit each occurrence within multiple chapters. Another thesis is that of Goossens 87, which purports to be less arbitrary than others. He draws on the evidence of there being alternative titles for some chapters in different parts of the world. For instance, Surat at-Tawbah is also known as Surat al-Bara'ah, Surat al-Isra as Surat Bani Israel, and Surat al-Ikhlas as Surat at-Tawhid. He suggests that the Muqaṭṭa'āt are contractions of now defunct chapter titles, given their invariable presence at the start of 29 chapters. Goossens 88 further theorizes that the names which the Muqaṭṭa'āt represent are to be found within the chapters themselves, as this is the basis for the titles of the majority of chapters. Muqaṭṭa'āt, posited meaning N, Surah 68, Al-Nun-Q 50, Qur'an YS 36, Al-Yasa Al-Yasin S 38, As-Safat ALR 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, Al-Rusul Al-Ma 13, Al-Mursal Alm 2, 3, 29, 30, 31, 32, Al-Mathal Alms 7, Al-Musawwir Kais 19, Al-Kaf Yahya Isa Ad-Dalal TH 20, Tuwa Harun TSM 26, Tord Ash-Shu'ara Musa Ts 27, Atayra Suleiman TSM 28, Azil or At-Tur or At-Tinash Shatin Musa or Madyan HM 40, 41, 43, 44, 45, Al-Hamim HM SQ 42, Al-Hamim As-Sa'd Karib. Although the majority of lexis suggested by the author to represent the Muqaṭṭa'āt has been extracted from the texts of their respective chapters in line with his title thesis, all too many of the proposed titles have been concocted by means of suggesting the reconstitution of concurrent chapters, viz. YS al-Yasin from Surah 37, 89. Positing words beginning with different letters but with the same grapheme in pre-diacritics codices, viz. Kais with the S coming from Ad-Dalal 90, and by analogy, viz. Nun, large fish from Hut, whale, as none is not mentioned within the text of Surah 68, 91. Once again, we are led to the conclusion that these proposals are rather too arbitrary and obscure to explain the denotation of the Muqaṭṭa'āt. Bellamy 92 proposed a theory in line with some classical commentators 93, that the majority of mysterious letters are abbreviations for Ar-Rahman and or Ar-Rahim, which compose the Basmala and are amongst the 99 names of God, 94. He suggested that the letters such as ALR, and HM that make up the majority of the Muqaṭṭa'āt are patent abbreviations of God's attributes from the Basmala, whilst the Muqaṭṭa'āt, which prefix the remainder of the chapters, also represent these two divine names, but require emendation. 95. The basis for his theory is that the abbreviations were introduced in the Meccan period by the Prophet's scribes who, failing to recognize them as abbreviations, inserted the Basmala in addition to the Muqaṭṭa'āt. Welch 96 criticizes Bellamy's theory as not being consistent with the chronology of the Quranic revelation. The letters almost certainly originate from the Medinan period according to current textual research, and further argues that Bellamy does not explain the relationship of the Muqaṭṭa'āt to their context before these particular chapters. Moreover, it is highly unlikely that so many different abbreviations would have been used, as it violates the fundamental principle behind an abbreviation. Theory 9. The letters are a means of ordering, redacting and editing the Quranic corpus. The other group of theories referred to by Massey 97 can be categorized as dealing in their entirety with the actual redaction of the Quranic corpus. They hold that the Muqaṭṭa'āt are an integral part of the original codex, but peripheral to the revelation itself. We have already examined Bauer's catchword theory, but he also maintained, as have many other scholars, that the Muqaṭṭa'āt were critical to the chapter order and that they therefore influenced the final structure of the Corpus 98. Loth and Squally's 99 earlier contribution to Bauer's theory maintained the central proposition of the Muqaṭṭa'āt being integral to the text, convinced by the arrangement of the chapters prefixed by the same letters containing similar information. Unfortunately, no explanation as to the Muqaṭṭa'āt prefixing single chapters was made, as these single letters proved impossible to rationalize. Bell, in his introduction to the Quran 100, saw both the letters and the basmala as integral to the original corpus, maintaining that the Muqaṭṭa'āt were early Medinan revisions adapting chapters for inclusion in the final corpus. The most contemporary redactional theory confirms that the chapters are not arranged from the longest to the shortest, even with the exclusion of chapters 1, 113 and 114, and hence exceptions were made for the decreasing length ordering of chapters, beginning with the Muqaṭṭa'āt 101. Neil Robinson 102 has expressed reservations with this theory. He demonstrates that there are exceptions to this decreasing length order, even if the chapters commencing with the Muqaṭṭa'āt are taken into account. He also points out that not all the chapters beginning with the same letters are arranged together. Instead, he suggests that other factors, including the repetition of key words and phrases in consecutive chapters, were taken into account by the corpus redactors. Indeed, this appears to be the crux of the argument. If some concrete link could be established between chapters prefixed by the same Muqaṭṭa'āt, it would only leave us with the explanation of the letters heading only one surah to investigate. Nevertheless, the redactional theory of the origin of the Muqaṭṭa'āt still does not explain their placement above these particular 29 chapters and not others. Theory 10. The letters are names of redactors or readers of various chapters. Before expanding on this well-elaborated theory, it should be noted that in spite of the research and proposals by numerous contemporary Western scholars which presume the Muqaṭṭa'āt to be redactional ciphers, not present in the original revelation, an oft-quoted hadith collected by At-Tirmidhi 103 would seem to contradict this assertion. Abdullah bin Mas'ud narrated that the Prophet said, "He who reads one letter of the Quran, it becomes for him a good deed, and a single good deed is rewarded by Allah by 10 times the like thereof." I am not saying that Alif Lam Mim is one word, but that Alif is a separate letter, Lam is a separate letter, and Mim is a separate letter. Noldecke 104 was the first to propose the Muqaṭṭa'āt as abbreviations of redactors who Zayd bin Thabit had consulted regarding the variant readings of the Revelation. He later changed his mind 105, concluding that the letters were mystical symbols observed by the Prophet in the late Meccan and early Medinan periods. Hartwig Hirschfeld 106 expanded on Noldecke's theory and proposed a list of amanuenses for the letters. Mughiras Hafsa, Az-Zubair ka Abu Bakr, Abu Huraira na Uthman Talha Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas, Hudhayfa, Ain Rumar Ali ibn Abbas, Aisha, Q Al-Qasim bin Rabia Alas. Such proposals are testament to the resourcefulness of their authors, rather than providing concrete solutions to the presence of the Muqaṭṭa'āt. Although such abbreviations for the redactors seem plausible, he does not offer an explanation as to why only 29 chapters have been inscribed, and not the other 85. Massey 107 made a comparison of 11 different multiple instances of the Muqaṭṭa'āt. His research revealed that the order of the letters is neither random nor arbitrary, as one would expect had the letters stood for sentences or words. Surah 42 with HMSQ appears to violate the principle of the letter ranking. The mim appears before the sin, which does not occur in any of the other co-occurrences of the Muqaṭṭa'āt. Yet these letters are generally divided into two sets, with HM appearing in verse 1 and SQ appearing in verse 2. Massi 108 suggests that HM was added by analogy later, as this group of Muqaṭṭa'āt appears in the middle of a group of chapters prefixed by HM. The discovery of the ranking system for the letters adds further weight to the theory that the Muqaṭṭa'āt are the names of redactors. Zayd bin Thabit could have used the abbreviations to represent either one source of reader or for a reciter, whose recitals were used to support the text over and above other variant readings. The readers were ranked in terms of reliability and importance. Hence, the letters never violated the ranking that he gave them. Whether or not the names conceived of to fit the letters are the correct ones, we shall never be certain. Theory 11. The letters are a doxological or liturgical device used to introduce the rhyme scheme of the chapters that they prefix. Another theory is that the letters are a means of focusing the attention of the listener on the rhyme scheme and assonance of the chapters that they precede. The Muqaṭṭa'āt have three distinct roles. In the first instance, and this is in the majority of cases, they set the rhyme scheme of either the entire surah or the first few verses of that surah. The 17 chapters with groups of letters ending im, in or un, that is the chapters prefixed by am, hm, tsm, ts, ys and n, all introduce the rhyme for their respective chapters. Chapter 20 with th has the a rhyme, chapter 38 with s has verses terminating in the long vowel a and a consonant, chapter 13 with almr has in then, un followed by ab and r, chapter 42 with hm and sq also begins with in then un followed by il and ear. The only exceptions are the ALR prefix chapters, which do not appear to have a specific rhyme scheme. In the second instance, the letters themselves are indicative of the wide variation in places of articulation used for the Arabic abjad, and their placement before the chapters concerned serves as a form of preliminary inurement for the correct enunciation of the subsequent words. If we observe the table below, in no co-occurrence of the Muqaṭṭa'āt do we find two similarly articulated letters, 109110, Muqaṭṭa'āt place of articulation, manner of articulation, ALM pharyngeal, dental alveolar, labial ALMS pharyngeal, dental alveolar, labial dental alveolar ALR pharyngeal, dental alveolar lateral, dental alveolar trill, ALMR pharyngeal, dental alveolar, lateral, labial, dental alveolar, trill, KHYS velar, laryngeal, vowel, pharyngeal, dental alveolar, TH, dental alveolar, pharyngeal, TSM, dental alveolar, velarized, dental alveolar, unvelarized, labial, TES, dental alveolar, velarized, dental alveolar, unvelarized, YIS, vowel, dental alveolar, S, dental alveolar, HM, pharyngeal, labial, HMs, Q, pharyngeal, labial, laryngeal, dental alveolar, uvular, Q, uvular, N, dental alveolar. In most cases, the place of articulation for each letter is quite distinct. When there is an overlap, albeit never in consecutive letters within the same co-occurrence, then the manner of articulation is varied. Altogether, the Muqaṭṭa'āt represent the entire range of Arabic articulatory phonetics. In the third and final instance, they provide an integrated timing mechanism for the elaboration of the first few key verses. The letters themselves are recited separately, and according to the rules of recital or tajwid, should be lengthened if they contain a long vowel, wy. For example, the letters T and H, written T and H respectively, are not lengthened. On the other hand, the letters LM are written LF, LM and MIME respectively, so that when they are recited, only the letters L and M are lengthened. If any of the Muqaṭṭa'āt are lengthened, they must be prolonged to the power of 6 times the non-lengthened letters. As we can see from the table below, with different combinations of the letters, the results are astonishing. Name of surah time, taken to recite Muqaṭṭa'āt. Time taken to recite the first verse, Mujawwad 111, Al-Baqarah, LWMW, 7-7 Maryam, Qaidu SW, 1413, Al-Qalam NW, 4-4. The concordance of rhyme, assonance and timing, in other words the auditory properties of the Muqaṭṭa'āt, seem to have a bearing on the chapters which they precede. The relationship with the text in each case would seem to discount the possibility that the letters are merely names of redactors. Or is their resonance with the text just a coincidence? Nevertheless, if the Muqaṭṭa'āt were part of the original corpus and played some role in recital, we are still no closer to ascertaining the reasons behind their placement at the head of these particular chapters, and not others. Theory 12. The letters have a stylistic reference to other Quranic chapters. A recent doctoral thesis of Dr. Revered, 2013, from International Islamic University, Islamabad, holds that the Quranic chapters with the Muqaṭṭa'āt have stylistic implications. That is, they are related by their sounds, sense and structure to the themes, subjects and harmony of the said chapters. This theory has the advantage of combining many features of the earlier theories. For instance, it does not deny what has already been claimed by early scholars. On the other hand, it adds to what was mainly missing from the picture of the Muqaṭṭa'āt. Its special distinction is that it is based on the study of the text of the Surahs and collects data from the same. A case study of this research based on the letter Sa'd can be found here. This work is also available in Arabic and Urdu. To access Dr. Hassan's full thesis entitled Morphophonemic Patterns in the Prefixed Chapters of the Holy Quran, a stylistic approach, click here. Across cultures and throughout history, humanity has always sought meaning in sacred texts. These revered writings, spanning various civilizations and epochs, have been the cornerstone of spiritual and philosophical thought. They serve as a bridge between the divine and the mortal, offering a pathway to understanding the mysteries of life and the universe. These texts, often regarded as divinely inspired, offer guidance, wisdom, and a glimpse into the nature of existence. They are not merely historical artifacts, but living documents that continue to influence and shape the beliefs and practices of millions around the world. From the Vedas of ancient India to the Torah of the Jewish tradition, each text holds a unique place in the spiritual landscape. Yet, deciphering the layers of meaning embedded within these texts can be a complex and challenging endeavor. Scholars and theologians dedicate their lives to unraveling the intricate symbolism and profound teachings contained within. The process involves not only linguistic and historical analysis, but also a deep understanding of the cultural and spiritual context in which these texts were written. From ancient hieroglyphics to cryptic biblical passages, the interpretation of sacred texts has captivated scholars and theologians for centuries. Each symbol, each word, carries a weight of meaning that can transform our understanding of the past and present. The illuminated manuscripts of the Middle Ages, with their intricate artwork and detailed annotations, are a testament to the reverence and dedication with which these texts have been studied. This essay delves into one such enigma, found within the pages of the Quran, the enigmatic Muqaṭṭa'āt letters. These mysterious characters, appearing at the beginning of certain chapters, have puzzled scholars for centuries. Their meaning remains one of the most intriguing and debated topics in Islamic studies. By exploring the various interpretations and theories surrounding the Muqaṭṭa'āt, we gain a deeper appreciation for the rich tapestry of thought and tradition that these sacred texts represent. The Quran, Islam's holy book, is a tapestry of profound verses, captivating narratives and divine pronouncements. Within its 114 chapters, known as Surahs, lie scattered verses that begin with unique combinations of seemingly disjointed letters. These enigmatic letters, known as Muqaṭṭa'āt, have puzzled scholars and ignited debate for centuries. Their presence raises intriguing questions about their purpose and significance within the Quranic text. One prominent interpretation of the Muqaṭṭa'āt letters posits that their true meaning rests solely with Allah, the divine author of the Quran. This perspective, rooted in the belief that the Quran is the literal word of God, suggests that these letters represent a form of divine knowledge inaccessible to human understanding. Proponents of this view argue that attempting to decipher their meaning is futile, as it lies beyond the realm of human comprehension. Another school of thought interprets the Muqaṭṭa'āt letters as mystical symbols imbued with profound spiritual significance. Sufi commentators, known for their esoteric interpretations of Islam, often view these letters as keys to unlocking hidden layers of meaning within the Qur'an. They believe that the specific combinations of letters hold esoteric secrets and spiritual insights that can only be accessed through contemplation and spiritual enlightenment. Some scholars propose that the Muqaṭṭa'āt letters served as mnemonic devices, aiding in the memorization and transmission of the Qur'an. Given the oral tradition prevalent in Arabia during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, these distinctive letter combinations could have served as memory prompts for reciters and scribes. This theory suggests a practical function for the letters, emphasizing their role in preserving the integrity of the Quranic revelation. A linguistic perspective suggests that the Muqaṭṭa'āt letters may represent remnants of an ancient script or orthographic system used during the Qur'an's revelation. This theory posits that these letters, while seemingly disjointed in the current Arabic script, may have held phonetic or symbolic significance in an earlier writing system. Proponents of this view draw parallels with other ancient texts that incorporate similar enigmatic letter combinations. Section 7. Examples from the Qur'an, a closer look. In this section, we delve into the fascinating world of the Quranic text, focusing on the unique and enigmatic Muqaṭṭa'āt letters. These letters, which appear at the beginning of certain surahs, have intrigued scholars and believers alike for centuries. Examples of Muqaṭṭa'āt letters appear throughout the Qur'an, often at the beginning of surahs. These letters, such as Alif Lam Mim, Hamim, and Yasin, are known as the disjointed or mysterious letters. Their exact meaning remains a subject of debate and interpretation among Islamic scholars. Surah Al-Baqarah, the longest chapter in the Quran, begins with the letters Alif Lam Mim. These letters set the tone for the chapter, inviting readers to ponder their significance and the deeper meanings within the text. Similarly, Surah Yasin, a highly revered chapter, commences with the letters Yasin. This surah is often recited for its spiritual benefits and is considered the heart of the Quran by many Muslims. These letter combinations, while lacking apparent meaning in isolation, contribute to the rhythmic and sonic beauty of the Quranic recitation, adding another layer of complexity to its interpretation. The Muqaṭṭa'āt letters serve as a reminder of the Quran's divine origin and the depth of its message, encouraging continuous study and reflection. They are a testament to the Quran's linguistic and literary excellence, captivating the hearts and minds of those who engage with its verses. Section 8. Comparing the Theories, a Tapestry of Interpretations. The diverse interpretations surrounding the Muqaṭṭa'āt letters highlight the multifaceted nature of Quranic exegesis. Each theory offers a unique lens through which to view these enigmatic letters, reflecting the richness and complexity of Islamic thought. While some interpretations emphasize the divine mystery surrounding these letters, others seek to uncover their potential functions or historical significance. Section 9. Conclusion: the enduring allure of the unknown. Despite centuries of scholarly inquiry, the true meaning and purpose of the Muqaṭṭa'āt letters remain shrouded in mystery. These enigmatic letters, appearing at the beginning of certain chapters in the Quran, have puzzled and intrigued scholars, theologians, and believers alike. Their cryptic nature has led to a myriad of interpretations and theories, each attempting to unlock the secrets they hold. Their presence within the Quran serves as a constant reminder of the vastness of divine knowledge and the limitations of human understanding. The Muqaṭṭa'āt letters challenge us to acknowledge that there are aspects of the divine that may forever elude human comprehension. This humbling realization fosters a sense of reverence and awe towards the sacred text, encouraging believers to approach it with a spirit of humility and wonder. Whether interpreted as divine secrets, mystical symbols, or mnemonic aids, the Muqaṭṭa'āt letters continue to captivate and inspire. Some scholars suggest that these letters may hold esoteric meanings known only to the divine, while others propose that they serve as a form of coded message or a linguistic device to draw attention to the subsequent verses. The Muqaṭṭa'āt letters invite contemplation and reflection upon the wonders of the Quranic revelation. They serve as a focal point for meditation and scholarly debate, prompting readers to delve deeper into the text and explore its multifaceted layers of meaning. This ongoing engagement with the Quran ensures that its study remains a dynamic and evolving field. Their enduring enigma serves as a testament to the inexhaustible depths of the Quran. The mystery of the Muqaṭṭa'āt letters highlights the Quran's ability to continually inspire and challenge its readers, offering new insights and perspectives with each reading. This perpetual sense of discovery keeps the Quran relevant and meaningful across generations, ensuring that its study remains a vibrant and evolving field of inquiry for generations to come. The quest to understand the Muqaṭṭa'āt letters exemplifies the broader human endeavor to seek knowledge and truth, a journey that is both timeless and ever renewing. As scholars and believers continue to explore these letters, they contribute to a rich tradition of intellectual and spiritual pursuit, keeping the flame of curiosity and reverence alive.